Okay, we know that addiction is not the enemy. We know it started out as a friend. We know that the secret, the key to unlocking our empowerment is through conscious choice, and that sobriety is the gateway for being able to make conscious choice. Now, I want to talk about effective action, the actual how on how to have the ability to be making conscious choice. We're going to break it down into three things, and other things can pull into this, but these are the three main components that are necessary to begin this work of being a conscious co-creator of your life, of being on that boldly satisfying life area of the spectrum. The first one is self-awareness. You can't do anything about something you're not aware of. If you don't see it, you can't do anything about it, right? You won't have the ability to make choices around something if you don't have the awareness of it first. So developing self-awareness is absolutely crucial for moving into an empowered state, for being a conscious co-creator of life. Because this is a short little mini course where we're just kind of getting the intro into these things, we're not going to talk about how to develop self-awareness. That is completely all the work that we are doing in the Illuminatorium, and I invite you to join us there if that's something you're interested in cultivating. Having self-awareness is a key component for making conscious choice. The second is discomfort. It's everyone's least favorite, and yet one of the most important ways we develop conscious living. There is all of that stuff that happened early on, those adverse childhood experiences that we talked about, the trauma. And even on top of that, then all of the stuff we brought in on our own and the actions that we took on our own that maybe were not in alignment with our true selves, the harm that we caused in the resulting effects of what went on earlier in life. It's not an excuse. It's just what happens when that goes down and we have that development happen and we move into addiction. Now we're operating from that space, and all of that stuff can be pretty ugly. It can be scary, it can be painful, and all of that is actually just discomfort. It can feel like a whole lot more, but we're really talking about discomfort. In order to have conscious choice and that self awareness, you have to be willing to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You can't stay in a comfort zone and make these big shifts. Now, we don't have to go super way far outside of the comfort zone. In fact, it doesn't work that way. If we have our comfort zone here, I'm talking about being right here. This is the sweet spot for growth and healing, where we're just outside of, maybe even leaning on the comfort zone, but we're not in it. And in doing so, we stretch. We stretch and we stretch and we stretch and we stretch and we stretch, and our comfort zone grows and grows and grows. So we're not in discomfort all the time. But if you're not willing to step outside of your comfort zone, you're never going to be able to do this work. We all have things that formed us for who we are and how we've been showing up in the world. For those of us that have been in active addiction, that stuff can be pretty yucky. It can be scary. We've probably had shame put on top of it, and we have a lot of shadow work that has to be done. Bringing those things into the light, it's going to be uncomfortable. If you're not willing to be uncomfortable, then quit now, because this isn't going to work. And I can't sugarcoat that for you. I can't lie about it and tell you it's always going to be fun. It's not, which is why the third component is so important. Having a strategic team around you for all of this is going to make it go a lot faster. It is going to make it a lot easier, and you're not going to waste time making the same mistakes that everybody makes when we do this work alone. Oftentimes, we don't want to bring other people in because stuff's gross and scary, and we've been judging it our whole lives as the worst and terrible, and we certainly don't want anyone else to see it because we think they're going to judge it too. We are in shame oftentimes, and we don't want proof that we're right. Shame being, I am a bad person, I am unlovable, I'm unworthy, I'm not enough. We're afraid that if someone comes in and sees all of our stuff, that that's going to be true, and that's the biggest pain of all, for that to be true. Side note, it's not. No one's going to find that inside of you. If they or you continue looking and you have that self-awareness, you're going to find that that's never actually been true. We're worried that we're going to be judged, that we're going to be deemed unacceptable, that we are going to be cast out entirely from society, and that all of our worst fears are going to come true. There's also the fun component because of all of that went on earlier and then what we've done. We don't think we're worthy of help. We don't think that we're deserving of having a boldly satisfying life and receiving care and guidance and support from others. We don't even think we deserve it, which also, spoiler alert, isn't true, right? That's just not true at all. And the other part of this, these are all really fun, right? The other part is because of what has gone on and we've been living in this state of survival, we're really in our egoic state. As a result, we think we can do everything on our own, and that we should be able to. The ego likes to keep us isolated so that it can stay in charge, it can stay in the driver's seat. So it tells us all sorts of things like you shouldn't need help. You should be able to figure this out on your own. If you just try harder, it will work. If you just have better willpower, it will work. If you just double down your efforts, then it's going to work. It's not. We have to have a team. That's not me, it's not you, it's all of us. We all have to have a team. Rumi says that it takes 100 years alone to do a 2-day journey with a guide. That's not the exact quote, but you get what I'm saying. Having a strategic team around you is going to make this process go a lot faster, be a lot easier, and even be fun. Don't go into the shadows by yourself. There is nothing good that's going to come from that. I mean, you're going to have to go alone, but don't go by yourself. That's what the Illuminatorium is for. That is what I do as a guide, and others do too. I might not be your jam. Believe me, I totally get that. I am not for everyone. And this path of self-mastery might not be your jam. So I'm not saying, come do this work with us. I invite you to, if this speaks to you, and if you feel I'm a safe person that could guide you and that you really resonate with, then heck yeah, come check it out. There's info in the description below. Come do a meet and greet and let's talk about it. If I'm not, go find someone who is. You have to have a team. You will not be able to do this without a team. Not you, any of us. This doesn't have to do with you or your weakness, and your ego's probably getting poked right now if you're in that space. It has nothing to do with you or your strength or your ability. As humans, we are not designed to do things on our own. We don't have every perspective that's ever existed. We don't know what we don't know. And that's why having outside people is really important. We need support. We need cheerleaders. We need people that are going to give us a different outlook. We need someone who's been there before so that we're not just stumbling around in the dark and causing more harm to ourselves. We need people who are going to help us be accountable. This takes a whole team. Olympic athletes don't get there on their own. They have coaches, they have trainers, they have a whole support system around them so that they can thrive in what they're doing. Having help and having a team is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength, and you're going to need one if you want to do this work. Maybe it will be me, maybe it'll be the Illuminatorium, maybe it'll be someone else and something else entirely. Just don't skip it. To have conscious choice, to be a conscious co-creator of your life, you got to have self-awareness. You need to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and you have to have a strategic team around you. And those will be the beginning components for bringing all of this together. There's another element that needs to be cultivated before you begin, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next section.